realize they was doing a little intro clip.
The intro clip. But the intro clip must be before the interview starts.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we just get the intro clip.
That? I am Zero First Integer, Donald Golden, Legendary Skills, LS. We're all in one. MC, producer, I guess in some cases could be considered a hip-hop historian, if that's what you want to call it, whatever. I guess maybe due to length of experience in the, field itself and the culture. Definitely relevant, and heavily so, because at least any Trinidadian that was born in the 70s, for example, let me say, even as late as 79, the format that radio would play under, you had no choice, but you had rock, rap, soca, and calypso, all in the same hour. You understand? To hear radio how it is now to what it was then is two completely different things. It's baffled me how it even evolved into this, or I would even say devolved into what it is now. It's very different because the hip-hop community in Canada, I mean, I could speak mainly for Toronto and definitely Brampton, but I could also speak for Canada on a greater level where it's like, okay, you have for Vancouver, you have Rascals, which is, you have a Trini in that group, right? You have a Filipino, which, dude, the producer in that group is one of the illest producers, period. You understand? Then, you have like in Toronto, you have MCs that would be like Indian. You have MCs as Chinese. You have your African from the continent of Africa MCs. I've met MCs I met an Israeli MC. You know what I mean? It's diverse. Completely all about the culture and the art form itself, as opposed to, but I real bad. And I stick into me and me alone and me and my unit alone. No, there's nothing like that out there. People would actually be from different districts that's beefing. And still, because it has a hip-hop show somewhere, you will shock to see those same people in that event normal, because this is neutral ground. This has nothing to do with this area, hate this area, and whatever. For the sake of hip-hop, everybody came with that piece. It could be looked at both ways, right? But to me, like simple sense, you are doing an art form that is not of your culture of origin, right? To add any twist to that art form that you want to get into, to add any twist to it, it is now no longer what it was or what you saw it as. Because you now decide, well, I will put a Trini twist. Now, to ask that question is to give you a variety of answers. For example, I've heard where people say, on many occasions, look at these guys in England and this guy in Israel and then look at this guy in Germany and they rap in their native tongues and whatever and this and that, right? Cool. I always ask this one question when people make that statement though. Name them. Right? Because how many of them could you say, how many people who make these statements, could say they listen to 4 Owls? They own even one track by Zebra. If you know who Zebra is, which is a Japanese MC who rhymes strictly in Japanese. You understand what I'm saying? There's this Dutch MC. Gosh, I'm trying to pull out his name. He did a mad track with Master Ace. Again, he's Dutch. When he's in Holland, he rhymes in Dutch. When he's in the United States, you'd never believe this dude is Dutch. And he speaks about this very same issue with the same accordance in which I'm speaking in. And he says he doesn't understand this whole thing about with accents and whatever, because you are doing a genre and trying to keep it within its original form. This is where the line is. And I think niggas need to understand this, Jed. You see, on the mic, that's where I guess the act is, because you're not even using your real name. You understand? You are now a persona. But when you're off that stage and they take that mic and chuck it in your face, you better be spitting where you're from. Anything other than that, you're a fucking fraud. You understand? So I think that's like one of the worst topics. I try to stay away from it. Somebody went as far as to say I have a pass because of my experience abroad and whatever, which again, it made no sense to me, right? Because let me tell you something. A lot of people in the even the soca fraternity has gone away from where they always wanted to be where music is concerned. If you know about Bunji Garlin background, if you don't know, find out what Bunji wanted to be before he was pointed in the direction of soca. Find out what Destra wanted to be before she was pointed in the direction of soca. Point being, and there's something that I hate plenty engineers, studio owners, and local producers for. A man, a young lady will come into the studio passionate about being an R&B singer. They don't have music, but they could sing. And then here's your studio guy now watching it like, okay, could sing. I can't make that kind of music, but I can't tell this person I can't make that kind of music. So where's the next best thing to do? Here what? It make no sense you singing that kind of music, you know. Trust me. You ain't gonna reach nowhere with that. That's not we thing. You better sing soca. Here, listen to this rhythm. And that's where the whole being misled starts. Leave it up to the artists if they want to choose to do that. But nobody has the right to point someone in an opposite direction from where they came to you for in the first place to assist them. Heather Headley, perfect example. You understand? Had somebody pointed Heather in the opposite direction and she chose to have done that, would Heather Headley have 1 Grammys? Would she have 1 Tonys? Would she have reached to where she reached if she had followed that direction and say, you ain't gonna reach nowhere because I owe the thing? You answer that, me and you will have no problem. Wow. The new rap battle movement. I don't think about that. Being brutally honest, that I do not think about that, because that is a, excuse me a second. That is one of the oddest things to me, because I have always known freestyling as what it is, freestyling. A beat playing, you running off your head, you have, even if you want to rhyme on the whole song, you only have like 3.5 to 4 minutes to do so. And you better be coming off the head. When you come to me now and you tell me, I know battle a man with no beat and win, I now will watch you as a cow, because I want to know how you even determining a winner on a no beat battle. There's too much time. Because you can't determine if dude coming written or if he freestyling. And even if he freestyling, he has so much time because there is no beat, no metronome, no tempo to bounce to where you have to keep coming with words. They have too much time to sit and think. You understand what I'm saying? So that, I mean, respect to them guys if they believe that, you know, this is the art form. Maybe it's a new art form, and if that's the case, I respect it, but that is not freestyling. I wouldn't say not just the battle rap events, that nobody locally has benefited from anything done locally. The case closed. I mean, there shouldn't even be anything much more to be said. Let the proof be known. Man has had to go and protest out in front of a radio station. Man has have a 1,000,001 hip-hop dance, and then what? You know what I mean? Most of the guys who still have a face in the game, like man like Matix and them, they've been around long. It's not like he now pop up on the scene. He been around long. You understand? And for the body of work that he's done, and the length of time he's been around, he should have been on a whole other level if he was being backed by our country that says, keep it Trini. But don't back nothing Trini. I don't get it. Neither of the above. I just been doing solid foundation, which consists of, for those who know and for those who don't know, consists of the ill whiz and legendary skills myself. The production all done by me. Wiz does most of the MC, and I may feature on 1 or 2 tracks or stuff. But we took so much time into doing that it might seem like, you know, we just, you ain't seeing us so nothing ain't going on, you know? But it was more or less we've been down into getting this project done, which really excited about. Legendary skills is self-explanatory. I have a body of work that spans, see, in 2015, that spans 26 years. No, I'll be 41 this year, so it spans 27 years. I have a body of work that spans that long, that wide. Self-explanatory. Because you hear it in the beats, you hear it in the lyrics, you hear it in the freestyles. And if you have a conversation with legendary skills where hip-hop or even music in general is concerned, you'll understand why. Local hip-hop needs to stop using the term local hip-hop. As you start there, that is all you will be, local hip-hop. Period. Stop doing local hip-hop and do hip-hop. Study it, research it, understand it, and then you will really do hip-hop. Is music, and it's how serious you're into hip-hop production, because that's a whole next thing by itself. Now, like Detonator himself, both of us grew up under dads who were musicians and DJs who collected records, stuff like that, you know. My dad was a DJ, and so I grew up on a lot of the music that guys were sampling even when I was like 10, 11, around there, right? But in terms of remembering samples and stuff like that, it's because this is what has to be done. If you want to become an engineer, and I don't mean like mixing board engineer, I'm talking about like an engineer working on an oil rig. You have to study and retain what you studied in order to excel, not so? Same applies with being a hip-hop producer or even an MC, but the question was directed as the LSD producer, so I will answer it as LSD producer. You don't just take a record, at least I don't do it, and I wouldn't recommend to anybody, whether it's a record or a CD or wherever you're sampling from, know the origins and the roots of what you are sampling and what you are listening to, right? I'm not a guy that will just hear a song and take it and sample it. No. Go to the back of the record. I would read up on who played this, who played that, wherever. You understand? Get a history of the group, because as weird as it might sound to a non-producer, to get the real feel of the sample you're going to use is to feel what those people were doing too, right? I'll give you a brief story. Some of you out there might know who Rahsaan Roland Kirk is. Everybody speaks of the three most famous blind musicians, Stevie, Ray, and Feliciano. There was Rahsaan Roland Kirk, master jazz musician that invented his own instruments. He actually came up with the nose flute, right? Dude used to play clarinet and stuff like from his nose. And he, at the back of one of his albums, there was a story told by an engineer who mixed one of his albums. And the engineer said, white guy, he was saying, when he was introduced to Rahsaan Roland Kirk, blind man, says to him, do you you have it? Do you have that feeling? Do you know that thing? And the guy was like, fuck is he talking about? He said, okay, if you don't mind bearing with me for a minute. White guy was like, sure. So they put the engineer to sit in a chair. And Rahsaan Roland Kirk, blind man, takes masking tape and begins to tape the entire head of the engineer, only leaving room for him to breathe. Very tightly too. And the engineer thought he was going to die, because he was like, what's this? And then to make the already awkward situation even more awkward, without seeing, the white guy hears the click of a gun to his head. The engineer, sorry. Which gets him even more scared, of course. And then he hears, this is what my life feels like every waking day. When you could feel and understand this, you could work with me. Beautiful story. I always remembered it, loved it, because of the essence in which it was based on. It wasn't about the gun or the taping of the head or, impairing the engineer's sight. It was just, this is what was needed for him to understand how to mix my music. So that, I always apply that to when I produce a track. I have to understand the sample that I'm going to use. I have to know what instruments are in that sample before I use it. Because then I could complement it with other instruments, or what type of drum tone I should use with it, you understand? Because the sample has this type of quality, I could use a light bass as opposed to a heavy acoustic, or whatever the case may be. It's a serious process, so your retainance is very important. You can't just pick up a record, use it, and then you can't remember where you get that sample from. Then you don't love music. You just making beats. Do what you do. It's not about our accent. It's not about what is real hip-hop, what is trap hip-hop, what is this, it ain't nothing to do with that. You do you. Anybody who knows me knows I always use this phrase, keep doing you if that's what's true in you. You understand? And it pisses me off that we are such a tiny country and we still want to put borders on the music. That's failure. And still actually querying why nobody ain't really bust yet. You know what I mean? I'll keep querying. Nice. Peace.